Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Evil Man. And I'm not going to close the N off.
Wow.
Evil Ma.
That's sort of symbolic.
Evil Ma.
That you're not willing to put an end to this. It's like symbolism of.
But also evil. Speaking of Evil Ma, 6:30 a.m. My mom texted me this morning. I saw it when I woke up at 9. She texted me to say I'm not as handsome with my beard.
For real?
Yeah.
At 6:30 a.m.
Yeah, that's what she felt like doing.
What kind
with
of
her morning coffee?
What kind of mother does that, especially so early?
Evil Ma.
Evil Ma. That is despicable.
Maybe you did have like a subconscious part of you that intended to make it evil Ma.
Yeah. Yes. It's barely even like
I
unconscious these days.
Does she like the mustache?
Better, but she wants me to be clean shaven. But the thing is like, she also still wants me to be a little boy.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want to see this thing clean shaven. I look like some sort of secondhand RV dealership owner.
My face looks like a nutsack.
Does she ever text
Sometimes
you?
I feel like a nut. Sometimes my face looks like a nutsack.
Does your mom ever text you very early in the morning and say, "I want you to look like a little boy"?
Where's my little boy? Yeah.
Parents hate. My dad always he always makes a little comment. He doesn't like my beard.
Yeah, they drive us to madness.
Why do parents not like? Parents don't want to see their children with beards. They just don't.
I guess when they grew up, our parents associated a beard with crime,
Yeah.
with immorality,
Fidel
hooliganism.
Castro.
Fidel Castro, Rasputin, right?
Right.
He met a grisly end.
Yeah.
They were like, please do not. Yeah.
He had a huge penis.
Hillbilly Jim. Yeah, no parent wants their son to have a beard and a big old penis.
Apparently, Rasputin, the Mad Monk, had the same size penis as John Holmes.
Wow. Well, film was very primitive back then, but Rasputin was known for taking dick pics, but with the what was it, primitive camera?
Daguerreotype. type.
Yeah, he would send dick pics with that.
Wow.
Yeah, you can see a shadow of Rasputin's dick flashed on the wall, like a sulfur flash or something.
And he would sketch that out and then hand deliver it to
Yeah.
hotties.
Give this to the queen.
I would hate to have a big, stinky priest hanging around my wife all the time, influencing her,
I know.
especially while I was away commanding troops during the war.
Mike,
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say, I would hate to have a big stinky dick.
No, I'd love to have a big, stinky penis.
I would love to have a big stinky penis too, because here's the thing that people forget: you can wash it.
Yeah, right. No, it's true. You can wash it. It doesn't always have to be stinky.
Wash it.
History has shown us that men can wash their big stinky penises.
Yeah.
Wash it, or in the words of Brandon Ash Muhammad, you risk doo-doo dick.
Mm-hmm.
Doo-doo dick.
Yeah.
Doo-doo-doo-doo dick. But yeah, back to what we were talking about earlier. Parents just don't understand.
Yeah.
I complain a lot about my mom driving me to sheer madness, but I feel like when I tell a story about how she bugs me so much, instantly everyone else is like, yeah, that's what my mom's like too. So it's like, it's so personal to me, but everybody else is like, yeah, that's how they go.
But
You know what I'm saying?
that could just
Yeah.
be people trying to, make you feel better. Like, that's
Yeah.
They might, they probably are very sympathetic, but they're trying to make you feel better.
I think we come from a generation where our parents think like, we were working too hard to be able to love you.
Yeah.
Like that's their mentality. Like, do you want us to love you and say nice things, or do you want us to just work hard? And it's like had to be one or the other from their generation.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
we'll
I
be
mean-
fine, eh, guys? We're in our 40s. We're doing fine.
Tell us about your beefs with your parents, listeners, and send us an email to @evilmenpod on Instagram.
Honestly, that would be a good episode. Oh my God. The Evil Men topic is parents, and we get people to send in voice recordings of their parents being shitty. Although it might be depressing.
It
Guys,
might be depressing.
speaking of the Oscars are tonight. For the listeners who don't know, this is when we're recording it.
Yes.
A couple years ago, was it now? Will Smith slapped a man.
It was 3 years ago. I remember
Yes.
because
3?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember the
slapped Chris Rock.
yeah.
But on topic still of what we were riffing on here, his hit from 1988, Parents Just Don't Understand. When I was a little kid, I remember that hit being massive, and some of us had the cassette. I went and listened to it a while ago. You know, Fresh Prince and DJ Jazzy Jeff, etc.
Yeah.
Yes.
Parents Just Don't Understand. Do
Yeah.
you remember that song?
Remember? Yes.
So old school hip hop rules,
Mm-hmm.
right? A lot of it does.
Mm-hmm.
But man, Parents Just Don't Understand has the lamest fucking beat on the planet. It's like, but it's like synth horns going like banana. Listen, everybody, it's something I gotta say. It's parents drive you crazy like every day. It's like, like if I was that guy's parent, I'd be like, fuck you, get a job, you fucking dumbass.
Does Will Smith still perform that song at the age of 65?
I really hope so. He's like, y'all motherfuckers have parents in the Woo! Like he just did the Wild Wild West song or whatever. Or he just did
Miami?
yeah. Getting jiggy with it just ended. No. Yeah, you guys awesome. Who here has parents? Wow.
Some of us.
Now I'm walking down the street with a hat on, and my mom says the hat doesn't fit right.
I think during his
Rain.
recent live shows, Will Smith, he'll do some music, and then for an encore, instead of doing another song, he'll reenact an entire episode of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, playing all the parts.
Oh, that's awesome.
Wow. It's
Like,
really cool.
remember the guy on Just for Laughs who would be the Jackson 5, but 4 of them would be dummies attached to him with sticks?
And I never got on Just for Laughs. I bet he was French Canadian. This guy.
Oh, for
Must
sure.
have
Wait,
been.
was
for
that
sure.
real?
Yes, but
A guy
this was
would
like
be-
in the 80s when we were kids.
So a guy would pretend to be all 5 Jackson
or the 90s
5?
maybe, yeah. Yeah.
James, there was a French
The
Canadian
guy would be in the middle, and then the other.
You're not talking about Andre Philippe Gagnon.
No.
No, he was
he's
even more.
fucking
He was
awesome.
more talented than what Chris is describing. here.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know this.
There was
Yeah.
even a French Canadian act who his whole act.
But it's like dummies dancing on sticks beside him.
Wait, was he singing or just
And that was on
dancing?
TV at a JFL gala.
Was he singing?
Where like powerful Hollywood agents were in attendance.
Well,
This guy's going far. Yeah, it was either gonna like they either signed Seinfeld or the Jackson 5 one-man Jackson 5 guy.
was he singing or just dancing and lip syncing?
Probably fucking lip syncing. And then also probably controlling like levers that made like Tito and Jermaine's like mouths move
Right.
to what their parts.
I feel like the early days of trying to do alternative comedy was pretty easy.
Well-
you know what I mean? Like that's not that creative an idea, and I guess
There was a French
out.
Canadian
Yeah.
act on Just for Laughs that was always on when they showed reruns of the Just for Laughs like gala shows. French Canadian guy came out, didn't speak. His whole thing was a mime routine called like a salute to the Winter Olympic sports, and he just mimed skiing, and he mimed doing like a luge. He mimed like biathlon shooting. He mimed speed skating, and the crowd of French Canadians laughed their butts off, and they loved it.
And a
Wow.
little boy sitting on his couch in Etobicoke was inspired to chase a career in entertainment.
Wow.
Excuse me, my name is Michael. I'm from a very high-powered Hollywood talent agency. I understand you don't speak a word of English, but I'd like to give you my card. We'd love to develop your salute to the Winter Olympics routine for television.
Remember the Ricky Lake? She's awesome. I don't mean it as a slight, but remember we had our own version of Ricky Lake for a bit.
Oh,
Camilla Scott?
Camilla
That's
Scott.
right.
I
Camilla
love
Scott.
it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I saw her in person in Orangeville once.
Oh my God! This is the best episode already.
Wow, you must have
And
done.
we haven't even gotten way into
You
it.
must have done a double take when he saw Camilla
I
Scott.
certainly did.
I saw
certainly
Camilla
did.
Scott in Orangeville. Is like now that we have Canadian Pride again because of the tariffs and everything that's going on. I saw Camilla Scott in Orangeville as like such a awesome Canadian.
One time I saw fucking Camilla Scott in Orangeville. Don't tell me fancy folk don't ever come around here.
Right outside the A&W.
I saw her actually in Theatre Orangeville. She was attending a play.
That is so. Does she live near there?
I have no idea.
But they had she had an episode once about like something like my friend thinks they're so funny all the time and it's so annoying. And I was like, oh no, because I like, you know, even as a kid I like to be funny all the time, and I was like, this is a dangerous zone to be in, I guess. But no, the girl who talks about my friend is like always on, and it's really freaking annoying. So finally they go, let's bring the friend out. I would love to find this episode on YouTube or something. And this woman comes out in a rubber Ronald Reagan mask.
Oh my god.
And I was like, okay, you know, like thinking the Ronald Reagan mask was so funny. Not me, the person who comes out on stage.
Yeah. Like,
So it's like-
she's the Joker goofball.
Ugh. Like, yeah, you remember like, okay, I don't know if you guys are like this, but because I feel like we are, because we're pretty much dry wit. We can do dry wit. We're stand-ups. Like, there was the class clown, and then there was kind of like the real funny guys chilling behind the class clown.
Yes.
The real class clowns were like this kind of person. You know what I mean? Comes out with the Ronald Reagan mask on, waiting for the audience to laugh, and they're basically going like, boo. Then they take, this is gonna sound so whack. It's, if you live in Canada, you'd understand. I don't know how to say it. They take the mask off, and the woman wearing the Ronald Reagan mask. I don't know how to explain this. I love everybody in Canada across our great nation. Everybody. It was clear that this woman was from Quebec. I don't know how to describe it. You just know.
Did she have a French Canadian accent as well?
French Canadian, yeah.
Hey,
big
it's
time.
me, Ronald Reagan.
She was French Canadian.
Right.
So it's like,
That is classic French Canadian sense of humor. I'm wearing the Ronald Reagan mask.
Yeah.
Hey, it's me, Ronald Reagan.
yeah, that's all I need to do. Wear a rubber mask. Yeah, no. French Canadians, they're so lucky. Quebec's got their own industry.
Yes.
They have a
Does way
distinct
better than
culture.
ours.
Yep.
And a distinct culture.
Yes.
Quebec is really fun, really cool place.
Mm-hmm.
It is
Beautiful.
different though in that regard.
Some would say the sense of humor there is a few.
It's a bit more clowny, right?
Few centuries behind where we are, and it's ever so slowly catching up.
Yeah, I did see during an early Just for Laughs trip one time, I did see a guy basically doing like the en français version of Seinfeld. And people in the crowd were like, this is new. This is like one of the first guys who's just straight up
like-
doing stand-up in French.
Like observational Quebecois.
I'm gonna
stand-up.
get killed. I don't mean to like this is just what I experienced. There is like, but I've also like
This is your truth.
I've also like stayed in Airbnbs in Montreal, like in the French part of town, and seen guys like juggling while waiting for the bus. So it is just part of your culture. You know it. I'm not making
It
fun of
is-
you.
I
Cirque
saw-
du Soleil
It is
auditions
like
are there and
it
stuff,
is like
right?
guys using
Yeah,
like
I'm not-
honestly, it is like good-looking fit guys in the
Yeah,
park
they're
doing
fit.
doing devil stick energy, playing with
Yes.
devil sticks,
In their
Or-
40s and
or
50s.
well, or like doing like a tightrope practice between two trees in the park, and they're
Yeah.
good-looking and fit.
Yeah,
There was
But that's the
they're
energy.
good looking. They're fit. The women in there are beautiful. They're probably partying
Yes.
and honking all night
Yep.
with each other, having
Yes.
a great time.
Yeah.
Literally, probably have a better life than us.
Yes.
It just, I'm sorry, guys.
Trade-off?
I love Quebec,
Trade-off
but
is-
it is clownish.
Yes.
It's a bit more clownish than us.
One time I was in Quebec City, incredibly
Clown oriented.
clown-oriented, clownifique. It's very hilly in Quebec City, very old
Yeah.
and beautiful. And once, most Quebec thing ever, and I don't know if the guy survived, I saw a guy on a unicycle. I just saw him go over the top of a very steep hill, and I can't imagine he didn't just absolutely wipe out and fall in his
And
face.
you don't know
no.
if he didn't survive
I have no idea.
or survive or not.
Wow.
Holy shit.
I hope
But he
he
probably
made
has the sexiest wife at home and makes $400,000 a year.
But Cirque du Soleil is very French. Cirque du Soleil.
Yeah.
I've seen 2
say.
presentations.
You've seen two
And I
I've
love
seen-
them. They
I've
blow
seen
me
one
away.
and it was incredible.
Look, if I could be like a super fit acrobatic tumbler or something,
Yeah.
I would.
Did you leave thinking like
But
I'm gonna try and do
just
that?
not my culture. I didn't grow up with that around
You didn't
me.
grow up in the. Yeah.
I was inspired as a kid. I saw them and I was like, you know, like Mike said, I would watch TV and go clowny feek, but I had no outlet for that here in Toronto. So I guess I was inspired more by the kids in the hall. You see,
I went to a Barnum and Bailey Brothers circus once as a
Yeah,
kid.
that's Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey.
Right. And it was honestly, Cirque du Soleil is a billion times better. Like this was honest. Even as a kid, I felt it was pretty lame. And I don't know if you
Yeah.
remember, but the Barnum and Bailey Ringling Brothers had like a guy who was like their mascot, kind of. He was like a clown.
Look like a dead
Yeah.
clown.
Yeah, but he was just like
Yeah.
a regular brown-haired 50-year-old guy in minimal clown makeup.
In
it was
sweatpants with like a Bluetooth in his ear.
And a boner.
It was so strange.
He was calling with using an old car phone to call people he owed money to. Yeah, like Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey. No offense to them either. I feel like I'm offending a whole culture right
Defending
now.
the circus community.
I would love to be a clown. I think it'd be fucking
Well,
awesome. I
You-
would.
It's in your goddamn blood.
And you know what? My great
You're
uncle.
actually allowed to insult
Yes.
clowns because
Holy
you
shit,
have
dude.
clown
Twitter.
heritage.
Well, I'm not even insulting them. I'm just saying
Right.
there is a difference between a broader stroke of Quebecois humor versus the rest of Canada, maybe.
Mhm.
Anglophone Canada, I'd say. Everybody knows that. But yeah, Barnum and Bailey and Ringling Brothers, I feel like they have like a children's coloring book version of the circus.
Yeah.
You know, an elephant standing up on one leg or whatever, a bear riding a bicycle, but like,
People in the circus, yeah.
yeah, but like Cirque du Soleil is like, I don't know. It's like Barnum and Bailey on acid, dude.
Do you think that the Cirque du Soleil clowns like just look down on the Barnum and Bailey clowns
Yes.
because they're
without
like,
question.
you guys do
For sure.
You guys do the
Because-
old-fashioned uncool circus.
Oh.
It's like how like the Navy and the Marines would fight in the same pub.
But Cirque du
They're all
Soleil,
terrible.
Cirque du Soleil clowns would be like, guys, ripped, sinewy guys with tattoos who run marathons or something. You know what I mean? Because it's all
Yeah.
like athleticism.
I think like I was trying to apologize like if I accidentally offended anyone, but I think the real theme that's coming out here is like we would really like to be like we'd like to have sex with Cirque du Soleil men because they're so beautiful and
They are
strong.
beautiful.
100%.
Yeah.
I 100%.
So
back
there
that
you
up.
go. If anyone's listening and you
Yeah.
get offended because you're in Quebec and you're like, wait a minute,
Yep.
no, we're
Yeah.
saying you're hotter than us
Yep.
and you can come get us.
Come get us, male clowns.
There's the clip. Come get us, male clowns.
Yeah, and now the rest of our days, we might be wandering down the street and a male clown may grab us
You
and
just hear in
have
the-
his way.
on a dark night when it's raining. You just hear you pass by an alleyway and you hear.
Oh,
And it's your
no!
ass making that noise.
Shut up, ass. Shut up.
Can I just tell you guys? I wanted to say something too, as
You're standing up.
An
This is
anecdote.
important.
Putting on your glasses like
Well-
a president about to read a speech.
say thank you. That's
Oh,
how
my
presidents
God.
talk.
Did
now.
you even say thank you
You-
once?
You know
It's the
what? I
please
didn't
and-
even watch it.
It's the please and
It's-
thank you administration.
Yeah, like,
and they're back.
with
Under
so-
Manners are
These
back in
tough
America.
You
If you don't
didn't
have-
even say thank you, man.
If you don't have manners, you can stay away from the White House.
And the guy
By the
being
way-
like, the guy being like, "Do you even own a suit?" I mean,
It
come
was the
on.
roast of Volodymyr Zelensky.
Insane.
What is happening? Why are you watching?
I wanted. Another thing I wanted to say, because James, you said that like someone like was mad, or a couple people have been mad, thinking that we're like saying political shit.
Yeah, we
Here's what I-
barely do.
We don't give a shit. But here's the thing. Well, we do, but like, you know what I mean? Like, here's the thing. It's, to me, I was thinking about it because it's like, okay, say President Trump of America, who a lot of America voted in right now, democratically, it seems. You know, any fucking leader of any country, if they do something that's ridiculous or insane, and you make a joke about it, how the fuck is that political?
It's true.
Like, you're not allowed to make a joke about a guy being a bozo.
We were making fun.
Like,
we were making fun
How's
of Biden.
that politics? Yeah, we
Yeah,
made fun
Trudeau.
of Biden. We made fun of, like, you know what I'm
Alright.
saying? Like, pass that along, because it's like, you got to be able to acknowledge that some shit's fucked up no matter where you stand. You know what I'm saying?
Hell yeah. Guys, before we get to our topic this week, we should mention that we have a Patreon account that you can find at patreon.com/evilmen. And for a mere few bucks a month, you get to listen to 2 bonus episodes every month and listen to all our old bonus episodes. And you get to talk to us on our Discord. And we put up episodes early sometimes on the Patreon. And you just help us out, which we really appreciate it. So please check it out, patreon.com/evilmen.
That is so awesome. I genuinely think what we offer is awesome.
I think it is too. And if
I
you
love
like
it.
us, please consider it because it helps us out.
Yeah, because if you're not a part of the Patreon, I just want to say that the humor because we have a mission with the episodes,
Mhm.
we have a guy to get to or whatever. But we record the bonus episodes for the Patreon after we usually record an episode, and we're a bit more wired and stuff. And I feel like the humor gets even more explosive in the bonuses sometimes.
I
And
agree.
the 3 of us are critically acclaimed humorists from Canada.
Well said.
We all live in different parts of Toronto.
No, very well said.
Yeah, each one of us comes from a different place stretching across this great city of ours.
Well, Michael, you picked the topic this week.
Michael, you picked a guy. Michael, you picked a guy.
Michael, row the boat ashore. Alleluia. Michael, pick the topic this week. Alleluia.
So everyone
Oh
these
my
days
God,
is talking
yes.
about president this, president that. Do I like the president? Remember when the president last summer was almost shot and he got a little bling in his ear and he had a little
An earring.
he had an earring in the most
Yeah,
insane
It
way
actually
possible.
blew a tiny hole in
Yeah.
his ear, and now he has a dangly cross earring as
Yeah.
a result.
That
It's
would be
sick, dude.
amazing. That would be amazing if he did that.
That would be amazing. He should get an earring.
He looks like Lil Nas X now.
Honestly, I could see a world where Trump and Vance both get diamond earrings in each ear
It's the 80s again, and they
Yeah.
can do that. Yeah.
in kind of a hip hop way.
Well, I've been thinking about presidents and people who don't like presidents, and one of the most famous guys who didn't like the president and took matters into his own hands was the hot stepper himself, murderer, John Wilkes Booth, who, of course, you know he assassinated Abraham Lincoln.
That's
Spoiler.
nuts. Now, I have a question. What's the Wilkes part all about? Just be John
sick
Booth
of
and
this
get on with it.
Woke bullshit.
Yeah, you're
2
John
last
Booth.
names.
Wilkes.
God.
What's your middle name, Chris?
Robert St. Pierre.
Well, that's beautiful. And I bet John Wilkes Booth thought his middle name was as beautiful as you think yours is.
So it's not a hyphen.
You know what?
It's
I've
not
learned
2
a
last
lesson
names.
today.
Yeah.
Because to me, it sounds like 2 last names, not a middle name.
No, it's not hyphenated. It's just,
Oh.
yeah.
Yeah, maybe he
Wilkes.
went through a divorce like me.
Maybe. But
I'm not going to assassinate
get to that.
nobody.
he didn't even live long enough to get married. So let's get into the
Ooh,
story.
That sucks.
John Wilkes Booth. And we have a special connection to John Wilkes Booth because, like us, John Wilkes Booth was an acclaimed actor, a theatrical actor.
Oh, I've done that.
Yeah. So let's get into this. John Wilkes Booth was an American stage actor from a prominent theatrical family who is most famous these days for assassinating Abraham Lincoln, the president, at Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C. on April 14th, 1865, a mere 3 days before my birthday.
Oh my God! I never thought of it like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that changes everything.
It's the best or worst gift a man can get, depending on how you feel about slavery.
Assassinating a.
Right.
I know. This is an interesting topic, Mike. I really don't know a damn thing about him.
So, as Canadians, because I was researching this and I learned a whole bunch that I didn't know, because we really, at least I didn't learn anything about John Wilkes Booth or even the American Civil War. All I know is that he was an actor who killed Abraham Lincoln. Did you guys know anything else about him?
Exact same. I knew he was an actor.
No,
Yeah.
I didn't even know
Saw
he was
that
an
top
actor.
hat and went.
Yeah. We've got enough to learn about as Canadians about prime ministers like Robert Borden, Mackenzie
Other
King,
ones.
and
Yeah.
Stephen Harper. So let's get start off here. John Wilkes Booth.
Relax, Stephen Harper. I said Flag Day.
So John Wilkes Booth was born on May 10th, 1838 in Bel Air, but not Los Angeles, where...
In Washington, D.C., born and raised, Abraham Lincoln's head is where I spent most of my days, aiming my gun and shooting the trigger and killing him in his head. I don't know where to go with that.
Wow, it
word.
doesn't matter.
Thanks.
You already nailed it. That was amazing.
Thanks.
It was Bel Air, Maryland, though.
Oh!
Not far from Washington, D.C., though. Right? Young
Yeah,
John...
This is a Will Smith rich
Yeah.
episode.
Will, we'd love you to come on.
I killed one little president, and my mom got mad. She moved me to... I had to hide in a barn, and they set it on fire and shot me. But we'll get to that later. So, as a boy...
I'm excited.
John Wilkes Booth, he grew up in Baltimore and on his family's Bel Air farm, which was operated with slave labor. That's important to remember. His parents...
That's inappropriate. Like beatbox. I know you just were thinking. It's funny.
Sometimes when a beat gets like stuck in my head in a
Oh,
loop,
yeah.
it just keeps coming out.
Yeah,
I
it's just not a
didn't
very cheery moment.
think
Yeah.
about what Mike said.
Now, his parents were... He was part of a theatrical dynasty, right? His parents were the noted British Shakespearean actor Junius Brutus Booth and his
What
father's...
in the fuck?
and his father's mistress, Marianne Holmes.
It's Junius,
Junius Brutus
not
Booth.
Julius.
No, Junius Brutus Booth. He was a British guy. I don't know.
So born of an affair.
And
That would make me mad.
he was the 9th of 10 children. So it's big family, you know,
Catholic, maybe.
big Shakespearean family. I don't think they were Catholic.
Oh, what the hell are they doing?
Hadn't they heard of prophylactics?
I guess his father, like Elon Musk, wanted to fill the world with high quality Shakespearean actors, and so he.
I wonder if any of Elon's kids will assassinate someone someday.
Odds are likely. There's so many of them. Now, as a boy,
Just kidding, Elon. Don't
don't have a.
don't take away my Tesla fleet.
So as a boy, young John Wilkes Booth was athletic and popular, and he was a skilled horseman, and he was skilled at fencing. He left school, sadly, though, at age 14, after his father's premature death. I was reading that his father died of fever, and they say it's most likely after drinking impure river water while aboard a boat headed to New Orleans.
God. All three of us would have been dead so young if we lived back
Oh,
then.
man,
mean,
I
a
wanna
fever kills you.
No,
I already have to hold myself back from drinking puddle water in 2025.
I drank a little impure river water, and my mom said no, and then I passed away, and then I had an assassin son.
Diarrhea.
While attending boarding school, he met. This is freaky, Chris. I think you'll like this, and you too, James.
Thanks.
Young John Wilkes Booth at boarding school, he met a Romany fortune teller who read his palm and pronounced a grim destiny, telling him that he would have a grand but short life, doomed to die young and meeting a bad end. His sister recalled that he wrote down the palm reader's prediction and showed it to his family and others, and often discussed its portents in moments of melancholy.
Huh. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? The fortune or actually implanting the idea for him to go in that direction?
That is an excellent point.
I blame the Romany fortune teller for planting the seeds.
When I was like 9 or 10, a fortune teller told me that I was going to become a karate expert. What the fuck?
For real?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really think I am.
You should make a documentary where you try and reconnect with this fortune teller and sort of get to the bottom of this.
Finding fortune teller.
Chris, this is not a comment on you. You are in great shape, and I think you look fantastic. But
Yes.
when you said that, it just
Thank
popped
you.
into my head. I had a show on Friday, and I was walking to the show. I walked past a karate studio,
Yeah.
and it was a very out-of-shape karate teacher teaching these children. And
Drunken master.
maybe he was amazing. But I just thought, interesting. Maybe you don't have to be in good shape to be great at karate.
Thanks. I'm gonna
But
look
that's
into
I
it.
wasn't talking about you.
No,
I was not
no,
talking
but you're
about
right.
you.
No, it's true. What about Kung Fu Panda? You know what I mean?
That's
Yes,
true.
Beverly
Yeah.
Hills Ninja.
Right.
R.I.P.
And he was on cocaine
Yeah.
and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
So by the age of 16, young John Wilkes Booth had developed an interest in the theater and in politics.
Can't blame him.
He aspired to follow in the footsteps of his father and his actor brothers Edwin and Junius Brutus Jr., and he began studying Shakespeare and practicing elocution daily. And I read that he would practice speaking clearly and reciting Shakespeare in the woods near his house. Imagine running into a teen boy. That's probably what I was like when I was 16, actually.
Mike, I think you just edge out James as like Mike's the best at this.
Mike is excellent.
James
at
is
this.
really good.
No.
I'm way
here's what I will
I'm
say.
way low.
No.
Here's what I will
But
say.
Mike, you're really good at this.
I'm willing. I will do it whenever. Like I'll find a way to do it when everyone's busy and I can do it really quickly. But I will say, like, if you want a really good info, Mike is the tops. If
You
you,
know-
need
yeah.
it done, I can get it done.
I have access to special Wikipedia.
Oh,
I would say I don't want to be competitive, but
but yours are
you
special.
guys are really, really good, and I'm just lower.
no, yours are. Yours
I'm
are
low. I'm looking
here's,
up.
Here's the difference.
I'm looking up from the gutter.
Mike's is.
I might be
okay.
lying in the gutter, but I'm looking at the stars.
Here's what it is. Okay.
and you guys are the stars.
Mike's is vanilla. No, but in a good vanilla. I love vanilla.
Okay.
Mine is French vanilla.
Ooh.
Your
Yeah.
Rocky Road. So
Yeah.
Mike and I are similar.
I'm Play-Doh ice cream.
But you have your own flavor to your episodes that is special and delicious.
Oh, I see.
I mean
well,
it.
that's a
Yeah.
nice compliment.
It's
I
a different
sincerely
spin.
didn't mean to take away from you because you're right.
No, I
you
agree.
are you have your style.
Okay, here's what it is. Baseball terms. Mike is
UP.
no, Mike is like the ace pitcher who he's gonna throw an 8 innings, no runs, whatever. I'm not as good a starter as Mike, but I'm gonna take the mound every 5th day.
Yeah,
You can count
yeah.
on me.
Yeah.
But Mike is the ace.
If you're being honest and I didn't insult you, I'm
No,
happy
I'm not
about
insulted
that.
at all.
And I'm like one of the fans who's drunk.
No, Mike is excellent. Well, Mike, you could have been a teacher. I think
Could
so.
be a teacher. Might not be
Didn't
too
you
late.
Whoa, your mom was?
Both my parents were teachers. Yeah.
That's
Well,
what it
I
is.
think it rubbed
Maybe
off
it's
on
not
you.
too late.
I have clowns in my blood. You have teachers.
Maybe in my 70s I'll begin a teaching career, and then it'll be great.
That's fine. Yeah. Teach people how to survive on nothing. That's where we're going.
Yeah. Well, we could do jerk off instruction videos. That's teaching.
So young teenage John Wilkes Booth, he's developed an interest in the theater. Hey, who hasn't? And in the 1850s, he made his stage debut at the tender age of 17. In 1855, he played the Earl of Richmond in Richard III at Baltimore's Charles Street Theater. Now, it was not a great debut. Oh, what a nightmare. The audience jeered at him when he missed some of his lines. What a nightmare. His debut. Oh.
Has that ever happened to you guys doing your stand-up set? We're getting jeered for missing some lines.
I will sometimes forget a key part of a joke or mispronounce a word at a crucial punchline
Yeah,
word, and
and they
then it
jeer you?
ruins the joke. And
I've been jeered.
they say, "Jeers, you'll never work in Maryland again."
You don't become
Yeah.
a stronger comedian without being jeered.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
In February of
At.
1858, John Wilkes Booth played in the play Lucretia Borgia at the Arch Street Theater on opening night. Oh, it happened again. He experienced stage fright and stumbled over one of his lines. Instead of introducing himself on stage by saying the line, "Madam, I am Petruchio Pandolfo," he stammered, "Madam, I am Pandolfio Pedolfio Pat Pantuccio Pet damn it, who am I? Causing the audience to roar with laughter and accept him.
Oh no, he's bad.
But also maybe quick
That's
thinking
a
on
br-
his
you
feet.
can't do-
Wit?
Yeah. but we're not talking about an improv set. I mean,
No.
I could
That's-
never nail that line.
yeah.
He didn't do
fair.
levels A through F at the Second City.
No.
You know?
No.
If you get an F at Second City, it means you're done. It means you're done.
But you know, the thing about improv is we all improvise every day. We don't have a script for life.
That's so true. I wish we did sometimes.
Sometimes I bring a script with me to the corner store.
May I have a... Sorry, take two. Can I get a milk?
Yeah. Hello, my good man. Where are the sour cream and onion chips?
You're supposed to say...
Yeah, and then I show them
Third
what they
aisle.
say. I know where they are. I wrote it in the script.
Now here is where his acting career took a turn for the better, right? So in 1858, October, he appeared in Richmond, Virginia again, playing the part of Horatio in Hamlet alongside his older brother Edwin, who was already an established actor, and Edwin was playing the title role of Hamlet. And afterward, after the show was done, Edwin led young John Wilkes Booth to the theater footlights and said to the audience, "I think he's done well, don't you?" In response, the audience applauded loudly and cried, "Yes, yes."
These are strange times back then.
Oh,
See, this
were
is
they
before
ever?
TikTok, before Instagram, before
Yeah.
Oh
Twitter.
yeah.
In all, Booth performed in 83 plays in 1858. What?
What?
Yeah.
Whoa.
What was he was
83
doing
plays.
a new play a night?
Maybe 2 plays a week? I don't know. 2
Maybe
new
he'd
plays?
do like one of those Chekhov shorties.
Yeah.
You know what you just made me
I don't
think?
think
This
they
guy's
directed-
cast in more stuff than Ennis Esmer.
I don't think plays had directors. I think just actors just came knowing the parts and just did I don't know how it worked.
Yeah.
Oh,
don't know.
interesting.
Yeah,
Oh.
I'm doing a quote unquote play.
Yeah.
You know what you just thought you sparked in my mind?
No.
You said this is before TikTok. I bet you there's people who are celebs on TikTok now in 2025 who don't know that TikTok comes from what the sound a clock makes.
Yes, because digital phones don't make that famous
Yeah.
old-fashioned noise.
They have no idea that
Yeah.
there was a different TikTok back in the day.
Yeah, I never thought about it. Why is that the name?
Young people don't know that clocks used to tick, and each tick of the second drove a man to madness.
Yeah,
You know?
the telltale heart.
You know
Time is
what?
running out.
I remember as a kid talking to my older sister that I had no idea.
TikToking?
Well, yes, that I had no idea watches used to wind up, and that was bizarre to me. And she, just even being 10 years older, was like, "What? That's so crazy! You have no understanding of a wind up watch." It's funny how as time goes on, things change, and the youngsters don't know how the older crowd.
People used to wind. People used to wind clocks in their house, or else, the time would be wrong,
Yeah.
and then it would go.
Yeah, hell
And it would just be like a
Yeah.
sound in your house,
Yeah.
Yeah.
or like dun.
My neighbor had a grandfather
Dun.
clock. That was cool.
Dun, and you'd be like,
Yeah. And you count the dooms.
Yeah.
"It's an hour, dear." You know what I mean? Count
Young
that.
people don't know that.
Yeah, you had to count the dongs and go, "Okay,
Honey, that's 6 dongs.
that's 6 dongs.
Time for dinner,
Come
honey.
and get
And she's like,
the special dong."
and then she goes like, "Oh well, there's only one dong I'm interested in tonight." And then you
1 a.m. Like he
no,
doesn't get it.
honey, look at my vagina.
Honey, would you look at my vagina? You're so
For once,
you're such a daft fool.
Can I tell you guys something chilling and interesting?
I love that shit.
Booth said that of all the Shakespearean characters, his favorite role to play was Brutus, the slayer of a tyrant. Oh my god! I just got shivers.
Holy shit, dude.
wow.
So by now his acting career is on fire, right? He's being talked about. He's audiences love him. Some critics called Booth, quote, the handsomest man in America, and quote, a natural genius, and noted that he had an
God.
astonishing memory. Others, though, were mixed in their estimation of his acting prowess. The noted Civil War reporter George Alfred Townsend described him as, quote, muscular and a perfect man with curling hair like a Corinthian capital.
Who was voted sexiest man alive? John Krasinski or something? This
Yeah.
is like if John Krasinski assassinated a president.
So he was. What I didn't know is that John Wilkes Booth was considered hot shit in the day. He was a very, very famous stage actor who toured all over America. And he was young. He was like a young Timothy Chalamet or like a Channing Tatum when he was young, or like a young hot Brad Pitt. That is the sort of status he had in the theater and in popular culture.
Now here's a philosophical question.
Brad Pitt's
for
still
you.
hot, by the way.
Yeah,
Still hot. It's crazy.
In Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I'd kill for that the way he
Took
looks
us?
without a shirt.
Yeah. I'd kill for the way he looks without his shorts.
Dong. Here's the thing. I have a philosophical query for you, inspired by Mike's essay. Why would a hot man assassinate someone?
Well, we're gonna get to
Why
it.
don't you benefit your whole life as a hot man
Yes.
without getting in trouble?
Why does a rich guy not just take that he's one life and just enjoy himself instead of ruining everything?
Same,
Yes.
same
You know,
vibe.
There's
You're
a
right.
there's a
Yeah.
Kurt Vonnegut book. I want to say Sirens of Titan that played around with that idea in a really interesting way, where it was a future society where everyone had to wear a mask so that no one would be treated either fairly or unfairly by their looks, because you have such an advantage in life being handsome or attractive.
Right.
Interesting idea, Chris. They've got it easy. Hot people do have it easy.
They do.
Now, can I tell you about how John Wilkes Booth's stage acting style was described at the time? It was often characterized by his contemporaries as acrobatic, Cirque du Soleil, and intensely physical, with him leaping upon the stage and gesturing with passion. So he was like a spaz. He was, can I say that? He was an
I don't know anymore. I used to love that word when I was a kid.
he was a very energetic. He was almost like a Dane Cook, I'm thinking of.
Oh.
Mm.
Also
and
very
So
handsome.
he's dating a woman 50 years younger than him?
He was
Yeah.
known to be an excellent swordsman, although, and this is a little bit humorous, a fellow actor once recalled that John Wilkes Booth occasionally cut himself with his own sword. So,
Because he had depression?
no, handling it. I guess he was too fast and too excited, and he didn't take
They
safety
acted
precautions.
with real swords?
I guess these this was the 1850s.
Alec Baldwin over here.
Yeah. And as the 1850s drew to a close, Booth was becoming wealthy as an actor, earning about $20,000 a year, equivalent to $700,000 in
you kidding?
2024.
So I
That's
really don't
really
understand
interesting.
what's taking him to this darkness.
I sincerely had no idea he was like that's a very successful
Yeah.
actor.
It would be sincerely like if Timothy Chalamet honk honk someone important.
If he honked off the president.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm like even scared to say it these days.
That's really interesting. I think I just assumed he was totally a failed actor.
No. Let me put it for you in terms we can all understand. John Wilkes Booth was the Hawk-Tua girl of his day. Right? He was
Yeah.
inescapable. Everyone knew who he
Oh,
was.
that's right, because
the
right
hottest person
right after
ever.
he shot Lincoln, he spat on that thing. Like he spat
Yeah.
on Lincoln's thing.
Yes, it was very
and
unexpected.
then did a pump and
Yeah.
dump
Yeah.
as a crypto coin.
So we'll get into why would a guy who seems to have it all, why would he ruin it all, right? So when the Civil War began on April 12th, 1861, Booth was starring in a play in Albany, New York. The world at his feet, right? He's playing in Albany.
Oh my God.
He was outspoken in his admiration for the South's secession, separating from the Union, and publicly calling it heroic. And this so enraged local citizens in Albany that they demanded that he be banned from the stage for making treasonable statements. And as the Civil War raged across the divided America in 1862, Booth appeared mostly in Union and border states. So he grew up on a farm that had slave labor on it. Maryland is sort of
On the
South.
line?
It's on the line, but Maryland
Yeah.
didn't vote to secede, but its heart was clearly with the Confederacy, is what I have gathered by doing a little bit of research, because I'm a Canadian man, didn't grow up
Interesting.
knowing about it. Back in Washington in April,
Didn't grow up worshiping yourself.
didn't grow up worshiping myself. In April of 1862, he played the title role in Hamlet and Richard III. So things are going well, even though America is being torn apart by civil war. He was billed as the pride of the American people, a star of the first magnitude. So his career is continuing to go well. And the National Republican drama critics said that Booth took the hearts of the audience by storm and termed his performance a complete triumph. Every day, he was receiving fan mail from infatuated women.
Huh.
So
That sounds great.
he's living the best life. Family friend John T. Ford opened a 1,500-seat Ford's Theater on November 9th, 1863 in Washington, D.C. John Wilkes Booth was one of the first leading men to appear there. So he performed in a play called The Marble Heart, and his role was he played a Greek sculptor that could make marble statues come to life. Sounds amazing.
Sounds like the movie Mannequin.
Yes.
I forget, with like Kelly Brook or something.
No, I think it's our Canadian actress from Sex and the City,
Rachel.
Kim Cattrall.
Kim.
Oh,
I think so.
or I thought it was like Jennifer Connelly.
Well,
Mannequin?
No, I'm
but
wrong.
the interesting thing before you go on a
Sorry,
side
Mike.
quest,
Sorry,
Chris,
Mike.
is that President Lincoln watched the play and watched John Wilkes Booth perform in this play called The Marble Heart, and he was said to have sat in the same booth where he was eventually assassinated.
Whoa.
And during the performance, because John Wilkes Booth didn't like Lincoln, and his heart was on the side of the South, during speeches, he was recorded in history to have waved his finger and pointed at Lincoln while he was making angry speeches in the play.
Wow.
Isn't that wild?
So it's more like if Kevin Sorbo assassinated Biden.
And
Like
if
a
Biden
right-wing-
came to watch him do Hercules live on stage,
Yeah.
and Kevin Sorbo was like, "I don't like you." So who was in
Mannequin, the original film from the 80s, stars Andrew McCarthy.
Yes.
And as the mannequin who comes to life, Kim Cattrall.
Nice.
Canadian.
Well done,
Love it.
Kim. So, as I said before, during the Civil War, John Wilkes Booth was strongly opposed to the abolitionists. He believed in slavery as an institution. He was on the side of the South. And he felt so strongly, he attended the hanging of abolitionist leader John Brown on December 2nd, 1859. John Brown was a abolitionist who led a raid on Harper's Ferry, Virginia, where he tried to stoke a slave uprising. So he wanted to arm a bunch of slaves and kill their slave owners, sort of like Django Unchained stuff. But it didn't go off well, and John Brown was captured and executed. And John Wilkes Booth went out of his way to attend the execution of John Brown. And he was recorded to have been feeling good to be watching him hanged.
Wow.
Anyway,
Very nice.
weird guy. Lincoln was elected president November 6th, 1860. Eventually, 11 southern states seceded. As a popular actor in the 1860s, Booth continued to travel extensively to perform in the North and the South. So even though he was on the side of the South, he would take northern money. He would perform in the northern states. His family, the Booth family, was divided like a lot of families in America. He was outspoken for his love of the South. As the Civil War went on, he increasingly quarreled with his brother, the actor Edwin, who declined to make stage appearances anymore with John, and he refused to go to the South and work, and refused to listen to John's fiercely partisan denunciation of the North and Lincoln. In 1863, John Wilkes Booth was arrested in St. Louis. St. Louis? Who am I?
You got it caught up in the sort of
St. Louis.
parlance of the time.
When he was on tour, when he was heard saying that he, quote, wished the president and the whole damned government would go to hell. He was
Wow.
arrested for saying he wanted the president to go to hell.
Oh my God. Have you seen what hell looks like?
Yeah.
Oh, that would
That's
suck.
That's a Mike. So, dumb question. But the Civil War, obviously, it was about slavery. But was there, from the point of view of people in the South at the time, were there other huge issues that you know of as to why they didn't want to be part of the United States? Was it did it purely boil down to slavery? It's just such a awful argument to be we should have slavery. I want to fight for this.
So I don't know a ton about the Civil War, but from what I know, it basically was about slavery, but the South couched it in terms of states' rights, and they didn't want to be told what to do by Washington, D.C., even though the thing that they mostly cared about was keeping slavery as an institution.
Okay,
But
that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
But if you,
It doesn't make sense to me. I just mean that I could see that argument being made by those
Yeah.
guys.
for those guys, slavery was as you know.
As normal as brushing your teeth.
No, but it was like, what's the word? It was as, oh my God.
It'd be good if Chris was an analyst on like a news show.
My brain just freezes.
What's my
sometimes.
line?
Anyways,
No,
you know.
He was.
It's a massive industry. It's like us telling the car industry
Right.
to stop using
All
oil.
these rich people, I guess,
Like,
got
how
free
much-
labor, and they
How
didn't
hard
wanna
is
lose
it to get rid of like oil right now?
Yes,
You know what I'm saying? It's like to them it was like that.
Yep.
It was your whole industry.
And they saw it as a benevolent thing that benefited, like slave owners and pro-slavery people saw it as like, we all win, you know, we benefit, and we keep them in work, and we keep them fed and housed, and we show them like Christianity and stuff. Like, it was, you know, totally insane way of looking at it.
Yes, because they were like dehumanized.
Yeah. But I'm thinking about this. Like, imagine if the biggest actor of the day supported something insane. Like, is this like when Snoop Dogg did a pro-Trump rally? Like, he performed
Did
at
he?
a party.
Yeah, he performed at the
Inauguration.
I
One of the
think.
parties.
He
Yeah,
did?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So John Wilkes Booth was like,
Weird.
to put it
Yeah.
into terms we can understand, like Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
So
He also smoked so much weed.
John Wilkes Booth really blazed.
before he hatched the plan to assassinate Lincoln, he hatched a plan to kidnap Lincoln. And I'll tell you about it now.
That's kind of fun.
Yeah, kidnapping a president, it's harmless, you know?
Yeah.
So, as the 1864 presidential election drew near, the Confederacy was clearly sort of losing the Civil War, and everyone knew it. And the likelihood of Lincoln's re-election filled Booth with rage towards the president. And Booth blamed Lincoln for all of the South's troubles. He formulated a plan to kidnap Lincoln from Lincoln's summer residence at a place called the Old Soldiers' Home, 3 miles from the White House. He wanted to smuggle Lincoln across the Potomac River to the south in Virginia, and then exchange him for Confederate prisoners and end the war. That was his idea.
So he's very radicalized.
Yes. And he got some...
He's almost like Randy Quaid or something.
That's who he is. If Randy Quaid was really good looking.
he's also only like 23 or 24
No
at the
way.
time, right?
Right.
What an
So he's
idiot.
very
He could
young.
have just been this handsome, rich actor. That's
Yeah.
basically the best possible life
That's
a
what I'm
person could
saying.
have.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
So Lincoln wins the election in 1864 by a landslide on a platform advocating abolishing slavery. Booth is mad, and he gets a bunch of pro-Confederate sympathizers to help him plan this kidnapping. Booth attended Lincoln's second inauguration on March 4th as a guest, and in the crowd below were his conspirators in the kidnapping. There was no attempt to assassinate Lincoln during the inauguration, but Booth bragged that he had had an excellent chance to kill the president if he had wished. He learned that Lincoln would be attending a performance of the play Still Waters Run Deep at a hospital near the soldiers' home. He assembled his thugs on a stretch of road near the soldiers' home, hoping to kidnap Lincoln en route to the hospital. But the president didn't appear. He was a no-show. Booth later learned that Lincoln had changed his plans at the last moment to attend a reception at the National Hotel in Washington. Right? A lot of theaters and plays involved in Lincoln and the president at this time. Interesting.
That is interesting.
I guess it was the only thing to do.
He liked the theater, I guess. Did you guys ever watch that movie Lincoln with Daniel Day-Lewis?
Haven't seen it.
Yeah, I watched a bit. I
No.
have to say I found it pretty boring.
Is that Spielberg?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Lincoln?
It was pretty dry.
As exciting as a history of politics would be to watch in a
not enough
theater.
of a blockbuster for me.
So by this time, John was arguing vehemently with his older brother, Edwin, about Lincoln and the war, and Edwin finally said, "Enough's enough, John Wilkes Booth. You're no longer welcome in my New York home." His sister, Asia, recalled that he also decried Lincoln's re-election, making himself a king, and that he would go on wild tirades about how much he hated Lincoln. Now, let's get to what made John Wilkes Booth so famous in America and around the world. On April 11th, 1865, John Wilkes Booth was in the crowd outside the White House when Lincoln gave an impromptu speech in which he stated that he was in favor of granting suffrage to former slaves. So he wanted to let slaves have the vote. This drove Booth absolutely bonkers, and Booth vowed to kill him and allegedly declared that it would be the last speech that Lincoln would ever make.
Wow.
On April 12th, 1865, Booth heard the news that Robert E. Lee had surrendered. On April 12th, 1865.
Now you sound like a real Yankee.
On
He
April
had surrendered.
April 12th, 1865, Booth heard the news that General Robert E. Lee had surrendered at Appomattox Courthouse in Virginia after one of the last battles of the Civil War. Then, so things are going terribly, right? He's a young, handsome actor, getting all these women writing to him. All the news he's hearing is driving him nuts.
Well, it's like us now. I have to tell myself I need to stop looking at social media because the news is stressing me out.
Yeah.
He should have done that too. I know there wasn't social media back then, but he shouldn't have listened to the town crier.
Yeah, he was going through down a rabbit hole of pamphlets.
My performance as Hamlet suffered last night because I'm so upset about the news.
Honey, maybe you should just look at the pamphlets once or twice a day and don't look at them all day.
Once the pamphleteers figure out your algorithm, you're screwed.
These pamphlets are just in our brains all day. So this is crazy. On the morning of April 14th, 1865, Booth went to Ford's Theater to get his mail. I guess his mail was delivered there. While there, he was told by John Ford's brother that the president and his wife would be attending the play Our American Cousin at Ford's Theater that evening, accompanied by General Ulysses S. Grant and his wife. Wilkes Booth immediately set about making plans for the assassination, which included making arrangements with livery stable owner James W. Pumphrey for a getaway horse and an escape route. Later that night,
This is the era of getaway horse.
get me a getaway horse. And this play, Our American Cousin, it was like a farce about a boorish American learning that he has like aristocratic relatives in England and that he's inheriting their estate. So he goes to London and he's like a real hayseed, and all the English relatives are like, he's a very, very rude and crude dude kind of thing, right?
Like King Ralph.
Like King Ralph, basically. Imagine if
Yeah.
like Donald Trump was assassinated watching King Ralph.
I feel like King Ralph had a Burger King tie-in promo.
Was that John Goodman?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember the premise. Sorry to interrupt at this integral moment to explain the plot of King Ralph, but I remember in the premise of the movie was the entire royal family, every single member of the royal family they could find, and all their relatives all got together for a giant group photo. And then they took it with an old-fashioned camera, I guess, and for some reason the flash of the camera killed them all. They all died.
And then he was the last, or he
So
was
then they had to find who the hell would be the king. And
the
it was like a
heir.
bowling alley owner in the United States.
There
That's
must-
awesome.
There must be a scene in King Ralph where he farts in front of some fancy people. There must be.
It's crazy though because, like, America loves their big comical overweight buffoons, but John Goodman is like such a deeply incredible actor that you know that Hollywood picked him to play this almost like Artie Lang, Chris Farley style character.
Yeah.
But John Goodman is like deep
Yeah.
into acting, like so fucking good. One of their best actors, and it's like I want to see his process to be like,
King Ralph.
you know, yeah, King Stinky. Like it's just like, okay, like he probably put some method into it.
Yeah.
you know.
No, he's an amazing actor. Just like John Wilkes Booth apparently used to be. So
Yeah, this is like
So he'd heard that Lincoln was going to see this dumb play. And later that night, he gathered his conspirators around and he was like, okay, I'm going to kill fucking Abraham Lincoln. This is the best day of my life. I'm a young, hot, sexy actor. He assigned his friends to assassinate Secretary of State William H. Seward and the Vice President Andrew Johnson.
Oh, we just had him on the podcast a few weeks ago.
Yes. Now, Booth had hoped the
we should have asked him
assassinations...
about this.
He'd hoped that by assassinating the president, this would create sufficient chaos within the Union that the Confederate government could reorganize and continue the war, and that this would turn the South's fortunes around. After spending time at the saloon during intermission, Booth entered Ford's Theater at, they say, 10:10 p.m. In the theater, he slipped and snuck and wormed his way into Lincoln's box at around 10:14 p.m. as the play progressed, and shot the president in the back of the head with a .41 caliber Derringer pistol. Booth's escape was almost thwarted by Major Henry Rathbone, who was in the presidential box. At the time, there was a scuffle. Booth stabbed Rathbone when the startled officer lunged at him. Booth then jumped from the it's a very theatrical assassination. He jumped from the president's box to the stage, where he raised his knife and shouted, "Sic semper tyrannis," Latin for "thus always to tyrants," attributed to Brutus at Caesar's assassination. According to some accounts, he also added, "I have done it. The South is avenged."
Don't forget, his dad's name was Brutus.
Yes.
And so did
Brutus was implanted in his head.
Brutus the Barber Beefcake.
so Brutus said that, allegedly said that when he killed Julius Caesar.
Yeah.
So and then John Wilkes Booth said that future assassins, you got to carry on the tradition and
That's the thing.
say that next time.
Yeah.
Do you think that nerd?
Don't assassinate someone.
No, but
if you do,
yeah,
yeah,
it's a neat tradition.
Do you think
yeah,
that?
like learn your trade.
Yes.
Do you think that nerd?
What happened to my brain? I'm so sorry, guys. I came in here caffeinated, and it just turned off right when I was like, slavery is, like, my God.
Oh, don't worry.
It just drops off sometimes. I'm dumb.
I was gonna say,
No.
do you think that
Yes,
the teen nerd who shot at Trump? Do you think that before they absolutely smoked him, he was like, "Sic semper tyrannis"?
I think he said more like, the Brutus thing.
Get your brood on. Get your brood on.
Yeah. Hey, Grok, what did Brutus say when he shot stabbed Caesar?
So Booth, he injured his leg during his getaway. Some people think that he injured it while jumping on stage.
Yeah, maybe.
And some people think that his getaway horse fell on him, but his leg got fucked up during the getaway. He was also the only one of the group of assassins to succeed. They didn't get the Secretary of State, and they didn't get the Vice President, and his co-conspirators were
That's
pretty quickly
a huge
arrested.
attempt.
Yeah. So he runs out the stage, and he jumps onto a horse that was being held for him in the alleyway by a guy named Joseph Peanuts Burroughs.
I love how the planet is insane.
They had great nicknames back then.
Yeah. Can I be Peanuts?
He and his accomplice, they rode to southern Maryland. His accomplice, David Harold, and they had planned the escape route to take advantage of the sparsely settled areas, lack of telegraphs and railroads. And at midnight, they arrived at a tavern 9 miles from Washington. The duo then continued southward. They went to a doctor to have his leg looked at. The doctor's name was Dr. Samuel Mudd.
How apropos.
Did Mark Twain write this? Why is it so funny?
The next day, Booth and Harold arrived at the home of Samuel Cox around 4 a.m.
Okay, this is ridiculous.
Oh
now.
my
His
God.
name is Cock.
What's next? Someone
Peanuts.
named Bush? Someone named Dick?
By this time, the War Department had already put up a $100,000 reward for information leading to the arrest of John Wilkes Booth and his accomplices, and federal troops were dispatched to search southern Maryland extensively. They combed the rural area's woods and swamps for Booth in the days following. Right, the nation was in grief.
Can I ask you guys something?
Yeah.
If you were on the run for a crime, I've thought about this sometimes when I see it in films and stuff.
Yeah, man.
How scared would you be if they're combing things for you? Forests, swamps,
So
you name
scared.
Yeah, that's that your life
They're
is taking a
combing
bad
something
turn.
for you, that's bad.
Yeah.
I'm sure I've spoken about this multiple times, but when I was a kid, a man in Orangeville murdered a woman and hid in the woods around Orangeville, and including he supposedly broke in to the house that was empty across the street from us, and once the police landed a helicopter like by our house because they were like, and they told kids in the area, if you have a fort in the woods or whatever, do not go in them. Like, he could be hiding in forts.
Wow.
That's
Isn't that
really. Were
crazy?
you scared?
I think I was too young to really be scared.
To
I thought it
feel
was
it?
like crazy.
Yeah, you're like, I want to meet this guy.
Yeah.
That's really crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Kids, stay away from your forts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You can't play today. Why? A guy killed his wife.
Stab the shit out of a. Yeah, it's like, right.
I guess I should do that guy. because of
That's
my
kinda
personal
interesting,
connection.
man.
I'll do it.
That's crazy. Yeah, that is wild.
So America is in mourning and shock. Lincoln's been assassinated. Great indignation was directed towards Booth as his identity was telegraphed across the nation. Newspapers called him suddenly, instead of being the handsomest man in America, they called him an accursed devil, a monster, a madman, and a wretched fiend.
And fugly.
They called
Yeah,
him
Ugly Joe. If you think he's handsome, you're bad.
Suddenly, women across America were saying, I am never going to kiss you.
Send
now."
me my letters back.
Even in the South, sorrow was expressed in some quarters. Confederate General Joseph E. Johnston called Booth's act a disgrace to the age, and Robert E. Lee expressed regret at Lincoln's death by Booth's hand.
See, that's the thing. Like, you're not actually helping your side when you act that irrational.
It does make you...
If people are expressing sorrow and combing things for you, you fucked up.
John Wilkes Booth wrote in his diary that he expressed dismay that people weren't celebrating his brave act. He wrote, "For 6 months we had worked to capture, but our case being almost lost, something decisive and great must be done. I struck boldly, and not as the papers say, I can never repent it, though we hated to kill."
And let that be a lesson to anyone listening in our present time now. When you are deeply submerged in your own personal, all-encompassing, fanatical algorithm, when reality comes snapping back and crashing back into you again, the more people are going to be saying boo and expressing sorrow than you could ever imagine. So I'd say there's a lesson here about keeping one eye on the phone and one eye out in the community around you.
Yes.
Yes. If only you had been able to say that to John Wilkes Booth.
Calm down, my good man.
So he's on the run with his friend Harold, John Wilkes Booth, and they were given a boat and a compass to cross the Potomac to the south, but they fucked up and they ended up going the wrong way, and they landed back in Maryland. They had to wait the night out. They finally crossed the river, and they met a farmer. Hold on a second. They finally crossed the river to Virginia on April 23rd. There they made contact with a man named Thomas Harbin, whom Booth had previously brought into his erstwhile kidnapping plot. Harbin took Booth and Harold to another Confederate agent in the area named William Bryant, who gave them horses. By now there's a huge manhunt around the area. A Lieutenant Edward P. Doherty was dispatched from Washington with 26 Union soldiers and a man named Colonel Everton Conger.
You know what, Edward? My P.B. Doherty. Edward P. Doherty. Doherty P. That sounds Irish, right?
I've got Doherty P,
Doherty.
unfortunately. Very Doherty P.
Yeah. The
I'm the
pursuers,
star of Saltburn. I've got Doherty P.
The pursuers crossed the Rappahannock River and tracked Booth and Harold down to Richard H. Garrett's farm, where they were hiding out, which was about 2 miles south of Port Royal, Virginia, for anyone listening. Booth and Harold had been led to the farm by a former private in the Confederate Army, and the Garretts were unaware of Lincoln's assassination or that Booth was the assassin.
Right, because news had to spread.
Yes. So, Lieutenant Colonel Everton Conger tracked down the guy who had hidden them in the barn and learned where Booth was hiding at the Garrett farm. Before dawn on April 26th, soldiers caught up with the fugitives who were hiding in Garrett's tobacco barn. David Harold surrendered, but Booth refused Conger's demand to surrender, saying, "I prefer to come out and fight." The soldiers then set the barn on fire, and as he moved about inside the barn, they shot him in the neck, and he was paralyzed. And they dragged his body out of the barn.
So many dudes get shot in a barn.
Yes.
Yeah. Don't go in a barn.
Do not build a barn or go near one, yeah.
If you value your life, don't go near a barn. Even
Barns-
a bulk barn.
Barns should be
Agreed.
called kill box.
Kill barn. It took him 3 hours to die. His vertebrae was severed by the bullet, and he was paralyzed. It took him 3 hours. In his dying moments, John Wilkes Booth reportedly whispered, "Tell my mother I died for my country." In his pockets were found a compass, a candle, and pictures of 5 women, including his fiancée and 4 actresses.
And a Pez dispenser.
Yeah, this is back in the day when you had candles and compasses stuffed in your pockets. Like some sort of Boy Scout ass B word.
You could say bitch.
You're a Boy Scout ass bitch.
John Wilkes.
It's dark in here. Let me get my candle from my pants.
Shortly before Booth's death, his brother Edwin wrote to his sister Asia, "Think no more of him as your brother. He is dead now, and he soon must be to all the world. But imagine the boy you loved to be in that better part of his spirit in another world." So his family had disavowed him. And I read that his brother had to stop acting for a bit after his assassination because sort of the family name...
the brand. It messed up the brand.
It lost some prestige. Yes.
Mike, it'd be like if you were arrested for murder.
Yes.
The Evil Men brand, it would take a hit for a little bit.
A little bit. You'd have to either change the name or get a new guy in.
We could Skype in from prison.
Yeah. So, Booth's body, so they got him, he's dead, they got their man. His body was shrouded in a blanket and tied to the side of an old farm wagon for the trip back to be buried. So
Was it a nice blanket?
No, I heard it was a shit blanket.
Oh, low thread count.
You're getting buried in a shit blanket.
Show him the ultimate disrespect. Wrap him up in a not great blanket.
Take his candles and his compass. Wrap him in a shit blanket.
These
were the good old days.
Imagine being killed by an actor, too.
Oh, God. Yeah. Like John Turturro.
Oh, he is fabulous.
Like a bullet goes through you. Wow, John Turturro. As you die.
I love your work.
Yeah. Barton Fink.
Yeah.
Tell me quickly, how does this funny play end?
Yeah. What happens in Severance? What the hell's going on?
John Wilkes Booth's corpse was brought to the Washington Navy Yard, where he was identified by 10 people that knew him. I mean, the guy was famous.
I love this, Mike. We don't usually follow a person's life to the point where they're a corpse.
Yeah, but then the body was buried.
What happened to it?
Because he was like, a pariah at this point in death. His body was taken and buried in a storage locker at the Arsenal Penitentiary in Washington. Later moved to a warehouse at the Washington Arsenal. And then in 1869, the remains were once again identified before being released to the Booth family, where they were buried in the family plot at Greenmount Cemetery in Baltimore. Now, at the time, there was a conspiracy, and some people I'm sure still believe it, that he actually got away and that the person who was killed by the troops and buried was a lookalike. But there's never been any evidence to support this theory.
It seems silly.
Oh.
Why?
You could make that theory up for anything.
Yeah, like I
That's
think
a
that might have
lookalike.
been a lookalike.
You could commit suicide and you're like,
Why?
I'm going to blow a lookalike's brains out. Sounds like a Philip K. Dick situation. But you know what? You mentioned pariahs. Oh, they freak me out.
Yes.
When you fall into one of those rivers full of pariahs, and they eat you so fast.
I think you're thinking of
Right.
the Polish dumplings that have cheese and onions. And
Pierogies.
you dip them in sour cream.
Ooh, I could eat a plate of pierogies right now.
Bacon, too.
Yeah, bacon, sour cream, cheese, potato.
Sometimes I buy gluten-free pierogies.
I'm so
and put
glad
them
you
in the
do.
freezer and they're really fun.
Fuck yeah. I'm happy to hear that, to be honest.
Thank you.
Do you chop up little green onions to put on?
Oh, yeah, I like that. Well, fantastic job, Michael. Very
Really
interesting.
good.
Bravo,
Story of an actor.
to say the least.
His
We
greatest
should call
role.
ourselves acting men. the podcast. Ugh.
Well, why don't we get paid a visit from the
Evilometer.
Oh, look, here's Evilometer. He's reading Hamlet in a deep, resonant voice, and he hates Abraham Lincoln, and he loves Slavery, not very cool. Evilometer.
Got a candle in his pocket,
Chandler's pocket. And
or is he just happy to see us?
yes, well, he can speak for himself.
Oh. Well, shall I go first? Let's see.
Yes.
Okay. His passionate support of slavery to the point where he would murder the president is pretty bad. I guess I'd give him an even 5. Give him a 5.
All our scales mean.
Well, if we
something.
gave everybody a 10,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
chaos would ensue.
Okay.
I think he's a 5.0.
Yeah, because his brain went bent and he committed one murder and he believed in inhuman industry.
Yes.
Yeah. Before I say my number, do you guys want to get Thai food?
Sure.
We could. Can we
Can you
see
eat rice?
I can eat rice. Sometimes it's just so hard with my stupid stomach. But let's see what's available.
What do you feel like, Mike?
I would do that, or sushi.
Okay, I'm saying a 6
As for me,
because he let a bullet fly into a president, which
a
would.
bullet in your head.
Oh, that's the best part of that song. 6,
6,
but also like
5, and 6.
6 for the same stuff James said.
Now, I'm torn on him because, first of all, I do think that being a virulent racist and a pro-slavery guy is really awful and despicable. But I will say that the idea of having a charmed life of being a popular actor who's popular with the ladies and is making a ton of money does seem very attractive to me. And I'd like to be that kind of guy. But I think being a big racist and a slavery supporter outweighs the good. I'm going to give him an 8.7.
That's great.
Wow, really
Yeah.
high. Interesting.
Yeah.
And he was like 26 when he was killed in a barn.
Oh my God, 1 year younger than Kurt Cobain and Jesus. Or wasn't Kurt Cobain 27?
He was 27.
A lot of rock stars died. Wasn't that Janis Joplin? She died at 27.
27.
And
Did you
Mama
say
Cass?
Jesus was 28?
Wasn't Jesus
Jesus
really
was
young?
famously 33.
Oh yeah. I don't know why I thought that.
Jesus was 28.
Sorry, Mike. I don't know. I've got Jesus' age 6 years wrong. What is this, church? It's
What am I in?
hilarious to Mike. I got Jesus' death.
Hi, I'm
age.
28-year-old Jesus.
Why is that funny?
It just seems funny. If Jesus was in his 20s.
We have different minds, Michael. We have different minds.
Jesus,
Oh my God.
baby.
I will say I'm on allergy medication, if that helps.
And I'll say I want Thai food.
Well,
Okay.
does anyone have anything to promote?
Yeah, I'm actually doing a show in Vancouver tonight
Oh, right, because it's Thursday
when this comes out
drops.
at Little Mountain Gallery. I think there's a few tickets left as we're recording it right now, but I'm hoping it's pretty full right now. So
Are you going to see Caitlin Howden, who we love, and I really want on the podcast?
I would love to. I'm gonna try and.
She rocks.
I'm not in Vancouver for that many days,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna try and collect them all while I can. I
Yeah,
would
Dave
love to see
Shumka,
Caitlin.
Graham Clark.
Yeah, I'll be. I guess keep an eye out for me showing up on the next a recent Spy episode too.
Nice.
Recent, coming soon.
Love it.
And I'll be at
you got loads
Heckler's-
of shows out there.
And I'll be at Heckler's in Victoria on the Saturday,
So
March 8th.
if you're in British Columbia or Alberta over the next couple weeks, see Chris.
Alberta is April,
Okay.
but yeah, thank you. And March 7th is my birthday, so that's this Friday.
So you're going to be celebrating your birthday out on the West Coast.
Yeah, the West Coast is the best coast. We don't like the East Coast. Do you remember that? There was this Mr. Show sketch where it was like East Coast rappers versus West Coast rappers on a talk show, but then also East Coast, what are those guys? They make the dummies talk? Ventriloquist battle versus like West Coast ventriloquists. Check it out. That was another great episode of Evil